21 Bridges is produced by the Russo Brothers, directed by Brian Kirk, and it is about a NYPD detective, Andre Harris, played by Chadwick Boseman, who is hot on the trail of two cop killers, and in order to catch these guys, he decides to lock down the city of Manhattan. That means you have no access to the 21 bridges that lead into Manhattan. 21 Bridges, for me, the trailers didn't really do anything. It really just seemed like a by-the-numbers cop thriller. Mostly every cop thriller we've gotten within the past 2 or 3 years felt like it was going to be really generic, really bland, really dull. It just felt like that this was a movie that Chadwick Boseman was starring in to pass the time, and while I do have a lot of issues with the movie, there are some issues that I feel like a lot of people will have with this movie. It was a lot better than I thought it was going to be. First of all, I love the gritty feel to this movie. I haven't had that feeling that a cop thriller has had a gritty feel to it in recent years. I feel like all cop thrillers are just really convoluted. This one has that gritty impulse to it. In that way, you could say that this is a contained thriller. It takes place all in one night in one city. It kind of added more suspense to the matter, and it kind of added a little bit of a flow to otherwise rocky narrative. So with it being unique like that, where it feels a bit gritty, it feels damp in some parts, like it's trying to get its feet wet. It's trying to get you to cross that bridge without feeling like it's too big for its bridges. Oh yeah, I'm coming in hot with the bridge puns on this review. The way the suspense is staged in this movie, I feel like the cop thrillers haven't been able to stage suspense in that way in a few years, and I'm really happy that because of the way the suspense is staged, gave it that more gritty, dirty, damp kind of feel to the movie. This movie is a little simplistic. It's a plot that's been done before, but I think at this point in time we need a cop thriller that is simplistic, because cop thrillers nowadays are just so focused on trying to bring you in with all these different plot twists that the plot ends up getting a bit convoluted at times. And yeah, this movie is thinly plotted. The cliches about weak scripts and all that, that's actually kind of the charm of this movie, because these cop thrillers are just so focused on bringing you into a world that's so convoluted. You have like drug runners, and you have the dirty cops and all of that, and it just becomes a huge hodgepodge of a mess. It's all this stuff thrown into a skillet, and you can't figure out how to cook it. I don't know where I'm going with this analogy, but you get the point. It's too many cooks in the kitchen. This movie tries to bridge the gap between all of those messy cop thrillers into being something a little bit more simplistic. And while it does struggle to do that at times, and it's not as arresting as its plot initially leads you on, there are entertaining moments in this movie. There are some entertaining shootouts that I think are in frame well enough. There is a bit of shaky cam going on in some scenes, but it's not to the point where it gets annoying. I've complained a lot about shaky cam and handheld cam. It's never to the point where it gets annoying. There are a couple of quick cuts in an action sequence, and I was like, that's not really my type of editing, but at least it did get the job done, and it didn't annoy me to the point where I was like, God damn, I can't see a thing right now. The movie was able to hold my interest for an hour and 40 minutes. It kept me intrigued. There were times where I was like, this movie is predictable. There were other times where I was guessing as to what was going to happen. And if a cop thriller can do that, I am at least somewhat on board. You could say I'm on the bridge. I'm walking over the bridge, and I'm going into that movie. Let's talk about the performances for a minute. Chadwick Boseman is fine. Sienna Miller's fine. J.K. Simmons is fine. Everybody in this movie is fine. It's nothing award-winning. It's nothing that you're gonna write home about. They're serviceable performances. I don't understand, though, why Chadwick Boseman was so hunched over. He's walking around like this half the time. I'm like, dude, are you that old? Do you need a cane? Do you need a walker? That was something that kind of, I don't know why that annoyed me, but like, it just Chadwick Boseman hunched over for the whole movie. I was like, is he just doesn't know how to hold a gun? I don't know. Performances in this movie are serviceable. They get the job done. It doesn't necessarily feel like a paycheck movie. Well, at times it does. You can tell that people were actually trying to make a somewhat cohesive movie. Now we get into my negatives. I've kind of already hinted at some negatives, like stuff that I like and didn't like at the same time, but there are some things that I genuinely didn't like. I really think it's really implausible that an NYPD detective can just order the FBI to shut down all the 21 bridges leading into a city and put the city on alert and lockdown. I don't believe an NYPD detective has the power to do that. If so, comment in the comment section below, chastise me. If you know any detectives in any police precinct that can do that, if it doesn't happen on Brooklyn Nine-Nine, it can't happen in the movies. That's how I roll. The movie also is devoid of any characterization. There is a little bit of characterization there with Chadwick Boseman's character, a smidge of characterization with Sienna Miller's character. But her character wasn't developed at all to the point where you don't care about her, and then she just becomes unlikable after a while. For a good chunk of the movie, you're like, alright, she's just along for the ride, but then she makes some decisions where it's like, well, that doesn't really make any sense. There's nothing there to latch onto emotionally with her character, or any of the other characters. It's mostly a little bit with Chadwick Boseman's character, and even then it's not that much. As with every cop thriller, they also have to throw in a plot twist at the end. It's a plot twist you could see coming a mile away. It's a plot twist that I felt like was unnecessary. It's a plot twist that I also feel like was just tacked on. Because the pacing for this movie, in all honesty, I thought was a very brisk pace. The pacing I felt was spot on. And it got to the point where I looked at my watch and we were an hour into the movie. I was like, this is almost over already? But it gets to a point with the plot where it starts to veer off into another direction. It takes another bridge to get to its end game, and that, I feel like that payoff, you can see coming from a mile away. It wasn't really earned. It just felt unnecessary. It just felt like something that was hugely tacked on. It's almost like they didn't really know what to do, so they were just like, we'll just throw this at the screen, and we'll just do all that. 21 Bridges is obviously not a movie that's going to win any awards. It's a serviceable enough cop thriller that you can enjoy. It passes the time, and I was entertained by what I saw. This is an intentional B movie. It knows exactly what it is. It's a serviceable cop thriller with serviceable performances, with a plot you've seen done many times before, but it is a bit simplistic, and I feel like that's what we need from cop thrillers right now, and it manages to keep you entertained for an hour and 40 minutes. It does a good enough job of bringing you across the bridge to be on this ride. I'm going to give 21 Bridges a B-. Thank you for watching my review of 21 Bridges. Stay tuned very soon for more reviews, including reviews from 2 iconic franchises. I'm going to be reviewing all the movies in both of those franchises, leading up to release dates for new movies in those respective franchises. You guys are the best. Thank you for watching. My name is Alex Madden, and I'll see you at the movies somewhere.